Number 5, for shortest wars, we have the Georgian-Armenian War. This was in 1918, and it was basically a tiny border dispute. The Armenians took the offensive on the Lori zone, which was the disputed zone, and they pushed into Georgia, and they got pretty close to the capital actually. But then the Georgians started pushing back. On December 25th, basically on Christmas, they pushed them all the way back to Shulever, and then on December 31st, they pushed them back to Sadaklo, and the war ended by a British ceasefire. In total, the war was 25 days. But in the end, this war would not matter because they would get collapsed by the Soviet Union. Next, we have the Serbo-Bulgarian War. This was between the Principality of Bulgaria and Serbia. Serbia was the one with the offensive on this because they wanted to become Great Slav land. So they just randomly invaded the Principality of Bulgaria. And they thought Bulgaria, a relatively new and weak country, would die. But they didn't. And they pushed them back so hard that the Serbians inadvertently made the Europeans agree to unite them with Eastern Rumelia, making them even more stronger. So in the end, this war was just Serbian loss. Uno reverse card. This war was 15 days. And number 3, we have the Indo-Pakistani War. This technically is kind of a cheat because while the Indo-Pakistani War lasted 14 days, the Bangladeshi Civil War, which India made into a separate war, the Indo-Pakistani War already was going on. However, most people recognize this as a war, even though India just joined Bangladesh on the war, so I rather include it here. Basically, if you don't know, India and Pakistan are not great friends, and when Bangladesh, or East Pakistan, wanted to declare independence and started a civil war because of the unfair treatment from the army, India showed their support. Pakistan, getting pretty scared, put airstrikes on India. And this is the reason why this is considered a separate war. Not only did they join the Bangladesh Civil War, they also invaded Pakistan from the west. So in the 14 days, India and Bangladeshi forces reached Dhaka, causing the war to end and Bangladesh to get its independence. Next, we have the 6-day war. And gee, I wonder how long it was. It was 6 days. This war was mainly sparked by the intense rivalry between Israel and its Arab neighbors. Israel was a Jewish country surrounded by its Arab neighbors. Now, this is a sensitive topic, so I will not get into it too much. But in a nutshell, after some time, Israel just decided to go ahead and invade everything. So basically what happened was they took the Egyptian West Bank and the Sinai Peninsula. by first knocking out the Egyptian Air Force fast, reducing it till it crumbles, then going on a land breach. Jordan and Syria both declared war, but this only resulted in them losing land. For Jordan, it was the West Bank, while for Syria, it was Golan Heights. And then, in the end, Israel got all the territories. In the end, however, they did give the Sinai Peninsula back to Egypt because, look at that, it's big, which caused the Suez Canal to be reopened. And as for the West Bank and Gaza Strip, Egypt and Jordan's relinquished control from them, and later this would create the basis for the country of Palestine. And these two nations are mainly at war. The number one spot for shortest wars, we get the Anglo-Zanzibari War, which lasted 33 minutes. Although, in my professional opinion, is that really a war because it was really just the British getting mad at this guy who failed the British Zanzibari monarch election, whatever you want to call it. So they bombed his house for 33 minutes straight. Alright, for more context, there was this guy called Harim bin Bargash. And this guy poisoned the former king of Zanzibar. I mean, the vassal king, since it was already a colony of Britain. And also wanted to be the next successor because he was one of the next people in line for the throne. Now, he actually did do this once, but he was persuaded by the British to get out. And this was basically his normal thing. He would lock himself in this rectangular palace over here and stay there for 5 hours until he did not die. Anyway, the British didn't like this because this guy was anti-British, and also he liked slavery. And the British were anti-slavery. Slavery poo-poo. So, yeah, they gave him a warning that if they did not get out in 1 hour, so in the end, these are the top 5 shortest wars. What? What else is there for me to say? I gave you the top 5 shortest wars. What else do you want?